The open road
has its perks.
But
what? Traffickers and nasty motherfuckers.
The Kinchi Crep Chronicles, or the KCC, or how I spell it, the KK. Oh, well, we'll change that in future episodes. But for the time being, this is the Kinchi Crep Chronicles, a story about limbs flying and fucking paladins dying. Today, our protagonist is gonna lead our group of vagabonds through different areas, far to the north and down in the south. Will anything significant happen? Probably not. Will the story become any more consistent? Most certainly not. Will Crep become the highly respected leader he's always dreamed of being? Abso-fucking-lutely not. But we will figure out what it means to be a team. And now with the new edition of Silvershade, the boys headed towards the swamp. An area of the map that actually has foliage, trees, and water. This place is also full of ninjas and bandits. These guys specialize in sucker punches, but if anybody was prepared, it's them.
hello, little pill. What do you do?
What are you doing in my swamp?
And just like that, they were approached by their first native, a real dickhead. So they kicked his ass and stripped him of his clothing. And also they got a new weapon for Silvershade.
Écoute Serge, tu es mon ami.
The swamp is unforgiving, and the people living there even more so. If they were going to make it through, they were going to have to prepare for a lot more sneak attacks, and a lot more bullshit along the way.
Oh man, not this guy again.
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? No, I thought not. It's not a story the Jedi would tell you. It's a Sith legend. Darth Plagueis was a Dark Lord of the...
Shut up, Meg.
Kill that motherfucker, he killed all our friends!
Don't worry, boss. We'll get him.
Only 50 feet into the swamp, and they've already bitten off more than they can chew. These green, little Mucinex camouflage motherfuckers didn't have a lot, but one thing they did have was determination and fucking numbers. They served up a bully beatdown, with a side of fuck you fries.
You can't win.
Look at Randy Orton slithering.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! From out of nowhere!
Luckily, at this point, Crep was a certified RN, and I don't mean registered nurse. Well, I do. The gang was not prepared for the horrors they were gonna see. I mean, this dude was apparently getting eaten alive by God knows what underneath that water. Once everybody was patched up and all their legs were back in their sockets, they headed across the river and continued through the swamp. The terrain was difficult, as their feet would sink into the mud and they would run into vines. Nevertheless, they carried their friends, and they headed on, eventually stumbling on into their first town, or at least what they would consider a town. Soon they would figure out there was a whole lot of fuck all here.
You got 3 days to get my money.
After whatever that was, Scratch went into the general store to buy some travel supplies, and the boys headed out. And to be honest, Crep was kind of enjoying the new scenery, and also the lack of bone dogs. But a couple hours and a few leech bites later, they finally arrived at a place called Mudtown. Already they could tell this place was way better fortified than the other shit bucket excuse of a town.
Help me!
Scratch entered first, as usual. And the first place he entered was this casino where he was going to try to sneak around and steal some stuff. But the casino manager had a proposal that Scratch had never heard before. Not only a proposal, but a game. And Scratch was a gambling man.
Come try your luck at a game of Cat Crawlers Roamer.
After somewhat earning some money in a reasonably honorable way, Scratch threw all that shit in the garbage and decided to go steal out of somebody's home while they were sleeping. And after robbing these poor, hard-working people, Scratch had to break back out of the house because he somehow locked his dumbass self in there.
God damn it.
Once out, they grouped up and headed back to the hub. Not before fighting these river raptors, though.
Blammo!
The two bug bros weren't faring too well on the way back. They were suffering some massive chest wounds from what I think was blood spiders when I wasn't paying attention, so they would have to be carried, slowing the group down even more. I was trying to get a cinematic shot while this random group of boogers just popped out of nowhere and started beating on the boys. One thing you can say about these ninjas is that they don't give up. And the journey continued, with minimal intrusion from others.
And take them down.
Get your black ass out of here.
And so they fought for the 1000th fucking time in the swamp, beating them like they beat everybody else. Unlike the other fights, at the end of this one, some slave mongers came through. This is a normal occurrence, so nobody really thought anything of it. They were going to take some hungry bandits and move on. But no, they had to take it a step further. They saw Silvershade's crumpled ass on the ground and put some shackles around his ankles. The gang left him behind because there's no honor among thieves. If he was going to get out of this, he was going to have to pick the lock and make a run for it.
Fucking slaves, get your ass back here!
Just a few minutes and about 30 miles later, Silvershade had made his escape. And while the gang was trying to fend off any bandits that were around that were trying to take advantage of Silvershade, he got up and for whatever reason immediately ran back to slavery.
Yeah, slavery was lit, kinda.
They eventually wrangled that little roach back and reminded him that the only slaver that he listens to is Crep. So they journeyed on, moseying their way right back to the hub, a place of peace and harmony compared to that shithole called the swamp. They gathered themselves in their little shack and reminisced on the moments they had. And after taking off Silvershade's shackles, that's a fucking tongue twister. Silvershade shackles. Crep decided he was tired of his permanent skylight. He was gonna purchase this property and build it back up. Oh yes. They finally have a home. They added a research bench to the home. Kang and Ruka trained Silvershade on how to use a blade, somehow resulting in him losing a leg like his predecessor.
Oh, fuck. I can't believe you've done this.
All the while, Scratch was out picking a lock to get a new weapon for the boys. The gear they had was good, but Scratch knew he could get better.
Oh, he's stealing! He's stealing it!
And as per usual, he got whacked into next Tuesday, then proceeded to get thrown around like a fucking sandbag.
Yeah, buddy! Wait, wait! Wait.
After a short stint in the pen, Scratch came back with some new information that he learned from somebody else being held captive. Far north of the hub, there was an old set of ruins that laid. The man said that in those ruins we would find plenty of books for research, as well as maps to new areas that would hold other treasures. It may not have been certain, but it was all they had to go on, so the boys set out and headed up north. And legitimately, with no problems this time, they made it all the way to Rebirth through Akran's Path. Rebirth was the home of the Slavers, also known as the Holy Nation, and these people did not like bugs or Shek. If they're caught trying to get past, they're gonna be the first ones in line to be chained to a rock and given a metal stick and told, "Get to mining, bitch." Scratch scouted out the area, pulled out his map and showed Crep the path they would have to take, and off they went. sneaking and winding through the cliff sides. Spoiler alert, nothing happened, and that includes anything interesting. So we'll just speed this along and get to the point. Once they arrived at the ruins, Scratch ran down in normal fashion to go check it out. It seemed abandoned, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. Once inside, Scratch could tell that nobody's been here for a very long time. Everything inside was burnt or just degraded over time. But our boy found his way over to a chest and was able to find some good valuables inside.
Nice.
Seems as though that man in that jail cell was not lying to him after all.
1, 2, 3, 4. How many
Flatskins
are in my store?
Scratch grabbed all the valuables he could and headed out. Dawn was breaking, and with that came blood spiders, who I guess are like the opposite of vampires.
Mine. Plug.
Wildly, there was no confrontation. Scratch had gotten out scot-free, and with plenty of goods. As Scratch was showing Crep what he had found in the building, Silvershade pointed over the edge of the cliff, and down in the basin, there looked to be a whole nother ruin down there. This one would be a lot more difficult to get to, as they would have to swim to it. But it could mean that they would be the first people to enter it in a long, long time. Ruka led the way as they went back the way they came, twisting and turning through canals and canals. Oh, that one was bad. I might be having a stroke or something. Canals and channels. They continued to avoid detection from any of the Holy Nation people.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Whether they had a bad feeling or not, they still made it past all the way into Akran's Gulf without any issues. And once rounding the city of Blister Hill, they finally made it to the body of water that would lead to their new ruins. But now came the decision of who was going to make it. Nobody in the group was a particularly good swimmer, but the group decided that it would be Silvershade because he was most similarly shaped to one of those weird four-legged water bugs. And so that motherfucker started swimming. He became the best damn buoyant bug you've ever seen, rivaling even Michael Phelps with the amount of leveling he was doing. 5 minutes and many backstrokes later, he had finally made it. Now he was to proceed with caution. There's no telling what kind of nasty, god-forsaken creatures were hiding in this shithole.
Hello, my friend.
Armor King. Armor King. Saving lives. With armoring.
So I guess this place wasn't so abandoned after all. There's a man here, or rather a robot here, named Armor King, and he had some beefy-ass stats.
I like them putting chemicals in the water that turns the friggin' frogs gay. Crap.
My armor is the
With
greatest.
stats like that, there was not a chance that Silvershade would be able to take on this robot in combat. So he took a page out of Scratch's book and played it like a bitch. He waited and snuck around until he could find his moment to steal whatever he could. And he wanted some of Armor King's armor.
Yoink.
Yoink.
The Lord yeeteth, and the Lord yoinketh away.
Once his bag was full and his pockets couldn't hold anymore, he made his way back into the water and started swimming back to the group.
What is taking so long?
Save me, help!
And after dispersing all the things he found, they went from sorry sacks of nobodies into the night shift of a Waffle House stationed in Chicago. Now they were packing meat and they meant business.
Don't fuck with me.
After fucking those guys up, they looked at the map and they realized that there was a new area unlocked called Narco's Trap. To help train their strength, they picked up some of the bodies that they left and headed that way. And if only they had been warned of how much they had fucked up by coming here. That new armor they got wasn't gonna do shit. We got chased out, had to reload, because Scratch got ganked. And even after getting past the guards and lockpicking the gate, I proceeded to get my ass beat by spiders. Not once, but twice.
Oh, shit!
Without a doubt, the boys were not packing enough meat to take care of business here, so they packed up their bags and left, and they headed out to rustier pastures, through the Iron Valley, and eventually into the Deadlands, where they noticed this weird metal facility. They sent Scratch in to go investigate.
Narcos, sweet arse, this is the freaking Deadlands. We can't come here.
But unfortunately for Scratch, he's not the team leader. Crep is. And in his infinite wisdom, he sent Scratch in to do a little bit of recon. And in an expected turn of events, Scratch was caught, ran out, and beaten to a fucking pulp.
Thanks.
He eventually woke up and told Crep what happened. And once again, Crep had to realize his team was not strong enough to deal with what was ahead of them. But he was plenty strong enough to go whack him in the back of the head. And Crep, more than anybody, was ready to go home. He picked up the body for some extra weight training on the way back, and after grouping back with the guys, they headed out. They avoided lightning and debilitating thirst, running through wide open deserts and sandy hills, finally making it back to their base of operations after a successful venture, if you cut out the part about Narco's trap and the Robot Boys. Scratch dropped off all the research books that they found so they could make some future structures. And though now the boys are plenty skilled enough to take on most average opponents, Scratch and Crep had some unfinished business with the Holy Nation. And at this stage, there wasn't a whole lot they could do about it. They were a hell of a lot weaker, and didn't have the numbers to take them on. They wouldn't even be able to put a dent in a Holy Nation patrol. But maybe, just maybe, there was a way that they could get one apart from the group, so they could send a message. We're going for those holy mines right there. They eventually arrived, and Crep set out his plan. He went up to the front gate alone, just a wee little fly, begging to get swatted out of this existence.
The skeletons walk among us.
We tell them, the robots will destroy us all.
And the plan almost worked. Instead of kiting only one guard to the gang, he ended up kiting two. So this was going to be twice as hard, but they were prepared to take it on.
Choose your fighter. Bring it on, bitch.
Did you really think you could defeat me, wretched fool?
Now the fight might have been a little bit tougher than they thought it was going to be, but in the end they pulled through. And actually in the end, the king of ass kicking, the perked up paladin Pounder, just a downright dirty dog of a man. And if you knock him down, you better kill him, because if
you hit me, I'm still coming. And I'm coming all night long, T-Wood. Please don't back up.
Brother.
Don't back up, my man.
Nonetheless, Kang helped heal up the group, and afterwards they grabbed the body of their new fallen foe. His bones and spirit were shattered, but his beating wasn't over yet. Long from it.
No! God, please, no! No!
So they brought him back to the hub, laid him on the ground, and started beating the shit out of him.
What?
Over and over. Like a damn dog. Does he have a family? Maybe. Does he deserve this? Most definitely. Did I get any XP by beating the brakes off of him?
Yeah.
And with this newly found XP and training, they felt like they were finally strong enough to go back to the Deadlands and to the Iron Valley. Up there, they would see if they could salvage anything useful. But even with the little bit of strength they gained, they know it won't be enough. So they're going to stop by the way station and hire some tech hunters to help them in the taking down of spiders and other robots. And after flipping a few Krabby Patties, they worked their way through the Deadlands up to this set of ruins. Normally in this situation, Scratch would be the first one to go in, but Crep wanted to try his luck. Well, at the very least, he got all the guards out of the way so Scratch can go do his normal business. Once inside the ruins, he found a moon cleaver, a katana, a specialist grade turtleneck, and more important than anything, he found a brand new leg for Crep. He got out of there and met up with the boys, and they hightailed it out of the Deadlands to avoid any more acid rain or lightning. The moon cleaver was given to Kang for his bravery, the katana was given to Silvershade for his slickness, and the leg was given to Crep for his elite leadership skills. And though he got a shiny new appendage, he would never take for granted the leg that got him. Just like that, they got even stronger, but this still wasn't enough for them. They wanted to get one more member for the group. And what better place to find a partner than at the way station where Scratch was found? So he himself went in to go find a recruit. And only one stuck out to him more than the other. A very dark-looking lady sitting at a bench by herself. Her name was Slink.
Now are you in or are you out?
I am a Stegosaurus.
And now they had a new member of the group, a Scorchlander. And just like with every other member of the group, she would have to be tested to see what she could do. And this escaped servant would be the victim. And from the looks of it, she had a long way to go. But they would get her there, no matter how long it took. Her next big test was to go to Squin and steal some goods for the boys. They were starting to run out of building materials and also running out of food in their storage. This would be a perfect time for her to prove herself.
You're joking.
Nah, they were not joking. They ran her ass down and tied her to a post. So I guess the boys were gonna have to wait a couple days before they heard back from her. And she eventually did make her way back, just in time to see the research bench get completed. And now Crep could start planning and figuring out how to make a bigger and better base. And a big part of that was better ways to train. Because in the meantime, Slink was going to have to head over to Blister Hill to go do some more thievery training.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer? Every night, I can feel my leg and my arm.
And while she was out and about, she took place in some small-time robbery, during which she found a couple of bounties which would become useful later. In the meantime, she had other things to worry about, like getting caught finding bounties that might be useful later.
Criminal.
Now she had a new situation on her hands. These paladins were hot on her trail. Luckily, Slink was faster, so she could outrun them easily. And then an idea dawned on her. She could bring home not only the bounties, but also a paladin prisoner that these guys could definitely beat up. Crep and Scratch were sure to be impressed by this gift.
Seductress. You'll pay dearly for that, woman.
Slowly but surely, she led the paladin back to the hub.
The 20, the 10, and in for the touchdown.
What do you mean by that?
And there it was, right over the horizon. She could finally stop running and start fighting with her crew.
Poor losers.
Yep, you're looking at it right. That is one leg and one arm from two different bugs. And I'll give you a hint. There's only two bugs on this side of the fucking desert. Scratch, Kang, and Ruka picked up the fallen bodies and started heading back. At the very least, they did gain some toughness, but at the cost of not being able to walk again and not being able to hold a fucking fork. But the paladins weren't done with their ass beating yet. They were ready to lay down some holy law.
This is what they call a righteous infliction of retribution.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
Don't worry, friend. I'm coming.
Stop wasting my motherfucking time. Hurry the fuck up, bitch.
I hear you. I'm coming.
Really?
I know Kung Fu.
I got beans, creams, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, ram, raw.
And just like that, their enemies have finally been slain. Because of Slink's mess, everybody's almost dead except for Scratch. He brings her to a bed to help her heal her injuries. And then he goes to go check on his bug brethren to see how they're recovering. All we got from that encounter was a little bit more toughness, 2 less limbs, and 2 more paraplegic bugs. Safe to say, Scratch was not happy, and if Crep wasn't in a coma, he wouldn't be happy either. But in the meantime, that's enough for 23 days. How will the group recover from this? Will Slink take accountability for how bad she fucked up? And what is she gonna have to accomplish to cement her place in this group? Discover this and probably not much more in the next installment of this bullshit.